everyone, my name is Sarah and today I'm going to be sharing my August reading wrap up. I managed to read 8 books during August, which I'm really happy with. I really enjoyed the majority of these. Again, 2019 is my year for reading, and again, I've just read some fantastic books. So without further ado, I'm going to share what books I read in August with you. The first book I read was, of course, our YA Room Book of the Month, which was Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I was really excited to get my hands on this novel. I knew that it was like body horror and queer and creepy, and I was just all for it. I'm a massive fan of horror movies and scary books and everything, and of course I love queer books as well, so I was like sold immediately. But unfortunately, Wilder Girls really didn't live up to the hype for me. I think my main problem with this book lay in the fact that I couldn't really connect to any of the characters. Like, I understood that they were trying to survive and I respected that, but did I know anything else about them besides that? Not really. I felt like these characters were kind of one-dimensional in the fact that I didn't really know any of their other personality or traits besides their desperate need to survive. And if I was in their shoes, I would not be as keen on living when there was like creepy things inside me and I was like vomiting up teeth or I had an extra spine. It's just not for me, okay? I don't want to live in a world like that. So that was my first issue with this book. The second one, I felt like a certain character's narration just came out of nowhere. Like, I really enjoyed the writing style of those particular pages and chapters, but I just felt like it was useless. I just didn't know I was there, really. And then that ending. Why? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, I know there's not gonna be a second book, and the way it ended was just really, it felt really abrupt. The whole first half of this book was really slow and descriptive, and like there was attack after attack after attack, and then it just like ended. And I was just so baffled. It wasn't even like a, whoa, oh my god, that ending, like in a good way. It was just like, whoa, I spent 6 hours reading this book, and that's what I get. So I was very disappointed with Wilder Girls, unfortunately. Definitely didn't have enough queer kissing scenes either, please, come on. And yeah, it was kind of gross in parts, and I did like that body horror aspect and the gore and everything, but you could have ramped it up. It wasn't scary enough. Overall, I'd probably give this one like 2 stars, and that's kind of being generous. Sorry. The second book I read in August was It Sounded Better in My Head by Nina Kenwood. This is a new Lovers YA novel that everyone has been dying to read, and finally I got the chance to read it in August, and it was super cute. This is just like a really relatable Lovers YA novel. It's about this girl whose parents are getting divorced and she's having friend drama, and she has this crush on this guy, and it's just like, you know, the standard teen experience. I loved how funny this book was as well. The protagonist's narration was really hilarious, and I loved being inside her head. I know that this book will strike a chord with so many people, but unfortunately I didn't really feel that personal connection to it. Objectively, this is a phenomenal book. It's poignant and heartwarming and everything like that, except I just personally couldn't really connect to the protagonist, which is okay. This book is a tough one because on the one hand, I loved it. It was so beautiful and so well written and everything. But on the other hand, I just didn't really connect with the subject matter. I know so many teenagers will be able to see themselves in this book, but I wasn't that girl in high school who wanted to have sex, and I didn't want to have a boyfriend, and that's okay as well. But it's still really beautiful, and if this sounds up your alley, I definitely recommend giving it a go. The next book I read in August was Serious Moonlight by Jen Bennett. Her books are so adorable, and this one definitely did not disappoint. It's about this girl who's working the graveyard shift in a hotel, and she meets this boy who's into magic, and it's super cute, and they love eating pie. And there's also this mystery about this writer who was apparently in like hiding, or he was basically a hermit writer, and then suddenly they see him appear at this hotel. So these two have to kind of figure out who this guy is and what he's doing here, and yeah. This book is a whole mishmash of things. It's sex positive, and it's about friendship and romance and a mystery and what it's like working the graveyard shift, and there is a lot of pie references as well. Highly recommend. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. It isn't my favorite Jen Bennett book. I think that title belongs to Alex approximately, but I seriously loved Serious Moonlight nonetheless. This one also has hearing impaired and depression representation, and I loved that aspect of this book. So yeah, pick this one up. The next book I read was The Girl Who Fell, which is the first book in the Chess Raven Chronicles. This is also a love YA novel, and it's a fantasy about a girl who discovers this fantastical world all of a sudden. There's unicorns and new creatures in this whole new world, and it was really well done. I felt like this was such a fun book, definitely for that younger YA audience. I felt like the romance was particularly interesting in this novel, as I know the authors set out to write a romance that wasn't like the toxic romance of YA, so it was interesting to see how they tackled those topics. But yeah, if you're looking for a fun magical adventure, this is definitely the book for you. It's not as hard-hitting as some of the other YA out there, but it is a fun read. Next up, I read The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. If you haven't seen the movie The Disaster Artist or seen the movie The Room, oh my god, what are you doing with your life? You are in for a treat. So what you gotta do is watch The Room first, okay? I believe it's on YouTube and it was released like 20 years ago or something, but it is dubbed as the best worst film ever made, and it really is. This film, right, it just makes no sense. There's like no plot, and things that happen just like suddenly never get talked about again, and the dialogue is absolutely hilariously bad. It's just such a roller coaster ride of a film. You will love it. Oh my god, it is brilliant. So once you've seen The Room, then watch the film The Disaster Artist, which is based on this book, so you kind of get more of an idea of what actually went on behind the scenes of The Room. And then go and read this book so you can like fill in the gaps of the things that you missed in the film, because it's brilliant. I actually listened to this one on audio because my friend told me that Greg does an amazing impression of Tommy, and it is brilliant. He gets the accent perfect. I can't even. This is a hilarious novel. If you're in the mood for something lighthearted and a bit of non-fiction, then I definitely recommend this one. Next up, I read The Surprising Power of a Good Dumpling, which was incredible. Oh my god. I have been dying to get my hands on this book ever since it was released. I mean, look at that gorgeous cover. Is it not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? And boy, did it live up to my expectations. In fact, it actually succeeded them, because this book was freaking incredible. This is a book about a girl named Anna whose mother is staying in bed because she's suffering from a mental illness, and her father's restaurant is struggling to stay afloat, and she's just met this new boy called Rory who she kind of has a thing for. I was expecting a really fluffy, lighthearted rom-com from this novel, and yeah, it was funny and lighthearted in parts, but it's also so much more than that. It's a beautifully written and compelling story about mental illness and friendship and love and learning to be there for the people who need you the most. And yeah, there are also a lot of dumpling references in this book too. One of the things that I loved most about this book was the raw and honest portrayal of living with mental illness, and I especially connected to the character of Rory, who is living with depression. Seriously, this is such a beautiful novel. Make sure you have a pack of tissues on hand because you will definitely need them, and then go treat yourself to some dumplings afterwards. It's great. The second to last book I read in August was Scratch, which is an anthology all about writing. My friend lent me this book because I was really curious in learning more about like the behind the scenes of writing and the money involved and the publishing process and all those kind of things that writers so often don't talk about. Like any anthology, some of the pieces were a bit hit and miss, but there were some that I really loved and really got something from. I really respected the way in which this book was so open about money and how much authors really get paid, because I know so many people are in the dark about that, and they see the words New York Times bestseller and they presume that these people are millionaires, which is so often not the case. It also talks about the important work-life balance, and when you feel like you're giving too much of yourself to your writing and when you're struggling to stay afloat, and I really respected how real this book was. If you're a writer or an author, I definitely recommend picking up this book because it's really enlightening and I definitely got a lot from it. And finally, one of my favorite reads of August was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. Yes, you heard me right. Rainbow Rowell has just released this beautiful graphic novel that I fell in love with. This is the perfect read for autumn and the spooky season. This book is basically about a boy and a girl who work at this place called the Pumpkin Patch, which is like an autumn themed fun place for people where they can have food and go on rides and stuff like like that. These two people have been working at the pumpkin patch for years, but unfortunately this is their last year working there because they're heading off to college. This is their last shift together, their last chance to make memories, and the last chance for this boy to confess that he has a crush on this certain girl that he's been pining over for years. This is such an adorable novel. I absolutely love all the illustrations. They are beautifully done. If you're looking for a book that will put you in the Halloween spirit, this is definitely the book for you. I sat down on the couch with a hot chocolate and just devoured this one in an hour. Rainbow Rowell is one of my favorite writers. Her dialogue was absolutely brilliant and hilarious and heartfelt and even had me crying at a certain point, and I just felt that it matched perfectly with the illustrations and the whole feel of the book, and I loved it. Definitely go pick this one up. So yeah, these are all the books I read in August. I really enjoyed the majority of them and definitely have a couple new favorites to add to my best of 2019 list. If you've read any of these, please do let me know what you thought of them or tell me what your favorite book of August was. But that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you soon. Bye everyone!